I think here in a little while I'm going to tap into the brand new box that I got, sample it, and see if it measures up to my standards.
Was I close CQ on top of you guys?
Oh, it was you.
Yeah, it was me. I forgot to, there's so many things I have to push here to change over from the ICO to the Ranger, and I forgot to push the button to switch the SDR over to the Ranger. So I got the SDR open, tuned on 3873. I'm looking at the scope, call it CQ, and I'm not seeing anything. It's been a long time since I did that. My apologies.
Her apology accepted. Nah, I do stuff like that too. Like with the setup, I'm using the BC342. I may have been plugged in the 3705 crap hole set up down there, and then I come up here and, I'm listening on the rice box. Oh yeah, here's an open frequency, either here or 85 or somewhere in between here and there, and I'll fire up, start bellowing out CQs, nobody comes back. I call more and more CQs. Nobody comes back. And then I look at the receiver. It's like, uh-oh, it's still on 05. So I'll spin up to the frequency up here. It's like there'll be a couple of people saying, Jesus, don't you have any ears? I've been calling you and calling you.
Yeah, well, I did that a couple of times. You know what? In all the years I've been on here, 18 years, I guess, since I've gotten on HF and AM in a big way, I've only done it a couple of times. Like you say, you leave the receiver tuned somewhere else. But I've got the ICO here and I've got the Ranger, and they share the SDR with a switch. And then there are other switches I have to throw for push to talk, and I have to change the phase on the preamp and adjust the audio output from the audio chain and switch amplifiers and all that stuff. And it's like getting in a cockpit, and I forgot to push the button.
I usually just forget to turn the damn thing on.
Yep.
Switch the receiver to the Ranger. So anyway, here I am. I don't know who else is in here. I heard your voice. Good afternoon, and well, it's too early to say Happy Thanksgiving, so good afternoon.
Yeah, it's way too early. Well, Doug, KB2KA came back. I didn't hear anything on this frequency because I just got in here. It's been another very, very busy day. So I'm going to kick back. Yes, I'm going to kick back. Go ahead there, Doug. And probably the frequency will explode with activity at this hour, which it generally does.
AJ1G Mobile.
Oh, Mobile. Go ahead.
Still in there.
Go ahead, Mobile.
It's AJ1G. Good afternoon. Let's see if we can hear you now. Couldn't hear you too well this morning.
I don't have him. You guys have him?
Yeah, he's there.
He's light, but I've got him. I don't think Doug is not hearing you. I'm not sure about Tim. Are you hearing Chris, Tim?
Yeah, he's Q5. Piss weak, but Q5.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, this week on the Mobile, George.
Oh, there he is.
A piss weaker monologue? You mean a piss weaker old buzzard transmission?
No, I'm going to make it short and sweet. No, the pissed off Chris.
Gotta love when that happens.
I am very, very, very disappointed, crushed, and pretty much disgusted with the attitude about the AWRL and the AWS.
No, I lost him.
Hang on.
Very important radio.
Yeah, I know. The first transatlantic amateur-to-amateur communication.
The ARRL and AWA just filed the AWA actually canceled it. It's like cancel culture. They got some lame excuse. Well, there's been some serious doubts as whether that contact actually happened. This is something that's been every friggin' ARRL history of ham radio and the 200 meters on down forever, and now someone's questioning it? What a bunch of crap.
Well, so it's November, it would be in November QST of 1923, correct?
Yeah, hey, that's what happened. It's all over QST. It was the French guy got a medal from the French government. Fred Schnell and Reinhardt, all sorts of Fred Schnell, the guy who made the contact, was he was the head of the transatlantic operations in the Navy.
Well, I don't know. It's like, never mind. But I recently acquired Mr. Mike's QST collection. And I have them going back to 1922. In fact, I have just about the whole year 1922, and I know I have some from 1923. But I'm so laden down with all these things. I've been trying to sort out QSTs, spend some time doing that, time doing vehicular stuff, and on and on and on and on. But if I can lay my hands on the 1923 group, I'll have to check it out, or early 1924. So that's the story. Anyway, not going to keep it out too much longer. I want to get myself a glass of red stuff, sonny. This WA1HLR, 5 o'clock, top of the hour.
Well, Tim, you said you got a box. So those boxes are like large Capri Sun juice boxes, except for grown-ups. You could stick a straw right in that bag and go to town.
I thought about it. I like a sweet wine, and there was a box of sangria. I like sangria, and I thought, I almost bought that.
You could get, like 20 feet of vinyl tubing and leave it right in the refrigerator.
Yep, could do that. Direct feed.
Yeah, like a kegerator, except you don't need a gas to pressurize it.
Exactly, it'd be gravity fed. Anyway, I'll be back.
So, Tim, what do you have me on the old S meter? How are you copying me down here?
Pretty well. I got a BC 342. It's 80 years old. World War II receiver. No S meter. I cannot inflate anybody's ego by saying, you're 90 over 9. It's whether or not I can hear you and your Q5. That's all that matters, and you are.
Oh, that's music to my ears. Man, I gotta get me one of those. I need some old gear here, Tim. This is all new stuff. It's an Anon 7000. It's an Australian amplifier. I'm doing, 300 watt carrier, legal limit pretty much on the peaks. And the only thing that's authentic here is the 600 ohm, 100 feet of 600 ohm ladder line. From the balance tuner to the center fed ZEP.
Maybe Tim is heading over for the red stuff. Hey, J1G Mobile. George, how are you hearing me down there down in New York?
Well, you came up a lot from your last transmissions. So did you change locations or walk in the house, get on your radio? What did you do?
Here I'm down on the ramp, which is very ramp here because it's almost high tide at the Barn Island boat launch. It's about a mile from the water station here, right on the north shore of. It's the water behind Napatry Point, which is an extension of. It's like a little barrier island section.
What's up, Andy? How you doing, man? Happy Thanksgiving.
Comes out from the village
You
of
guys don't
Watch Hill.
technically celebrate our Thanksgiving, but happy Thanksgiving anyway.
But the 38 hurricane got blown through, and part of which is in the southern end is in Rhode Island.
This guy's mobile. I don't hear him that well.
I'm right down here. I was down here to try to work.
Yeah, when you started this last transmission, you were very strong, and then you faded. So I don't know. I don't want to keep tormenting everyone, trying to hear you, Chris. I don't know. Get in the house. Get on the radio.
Hey, George, where are you located?
Yeah, hang on.
George, I'm sorry. Where are you located?
Yeah, hang on a sec. Yeah, I can hear that, and I know it's been on your mind, and you've been trying to find out if anything was going to be done to celebrate the moment, but I guess not. All you could do is try to do something yourself, I guess. Somebody was saying you went to the house where Schnell lived, and you spoke to the people that lived there, and you were going to do something from your car in the driveway. So I guess that's better than nothing. Doug, I'm in Westchester County, New York, town of Yorktown, about 50 miles north of New York City, and calls N2LJO. I'm not sure if we worked before. I'm running a modified Ranger driving a Kenwood TL922 into a parallel dipole up about 40 feet. So I'm hearing you well. Hopefully you're hearing me the same.
Oh, yeah, 30 over. I thought by the way, that mobile station, he was 15 over when he first came on that last transmission, and then he faded to nothing for me. So I was about to tell him that he was booming in, and then he disappeared. I thought he said you were on Long Island. I am. I'm in Fort Salonga, which is between Huntington and Smithtown. It's a little hamlet in the woods on the North Shore. And yeah, I know Yorktown. I used to manage Chase Bank financial advisors, all in Westchester and into Yorktown and all of Connecticut. So we lived up there for a little while. Now we're back home. We've been back here for 11 years or so. Yeah, sounding really good. I'm running an Anon 7000. I process the audio in something called a Behringer XR18. It's a physical box, but it's a digital mixer. And basically, it's a rack in a box. And then the antenna is a 80-meter doublet up about 65 feet, flat top, fed with 600 ohm. Down to a balance tuner, but sounding good, George.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Yep, I know Huntington anyway. Route 110. I actually had a friend who lived out very close to there, and we used to go drinking in town there. So, nice spot you're in, absolutely, and you're sounding good. And I said to myself, that's either an Anon or a DYY rig. I just had a feeling. So you confirmed my suspicions. Very good. Well, nice to make your acquaintance. What I didn't get was the call, though.
Oh, sure, of course. The call sign is Kilo Bravo 2, United Kilowatt Alpha, KB2, UKA, and I'm just throwing you here in. And there you are, George. Very, very nice. Very, very good. Well, very nice to make your acquaintance. I don't have the logbook up. I just have QRZ up. So I'm not sure if we have spoken or not. But if not, nice to meet you.
Yep, same here. Absolutely. Very good. The more the merrier in this, you know. And we share common knowledge and common experiences and common problems and common challenges and all. And the camaraderie is a nice thing. So, and yep, that's the same thing what happened with over here with Chris. He came in like gangbusters, and then in that same transmission faded away to nothing. So, I guess conditions are tough operating this band from the Mobile.
Yeah, I was on 40 before I came down here on sideband, which where I'm normally am. I'm into DESSB Voodoo audio stuff, so I figure AM was a good parallel to that. And 40, there was a lot of static crashing from the impeding storm that we're about to get, jumping all over the place. And down here's a lot quieter, but I'm sure as the storm gets closer, that'll pick up down here as well.
Yeah, I guess so. It's supposed to rain. It's raining here right now, but not very hard. But they've been talking since last week about us getting hit with a really big storm, and then upstate New York getting hit with a lot of snow. Oh, I don't know. Hopefully it's not raining on Thanksgiving. I hate to schlep around in crappy weather. Just makes the schlepping around more aggravating. I want to stay home. I don't want to go anywhere.
Yep, I hear you. It's supposed to be okay. It's supposed to be sunny and a nice cool breeze on Thanksgiving. And yeah, I grew up in Huntington, so I have been in every single nook and cranny of every bar in that downtown village. I probably name a bunch of them. You've probably been there. Let's see, you're probably talking years back. So Rose and Thistle, Artful Dodger, Wall Street, Strawberries. I could keep going. I'm sure I'll hit one that you've been at. And my office, my business is in that village. So I'm about a 15-minute drive to work every day, 15 minutes home. I'm right next to the Paramount Theater. I don't know if you remember that, on good old New York Avenue.
I remembered New York Avenue. I almost said it before, but I was going to call it New York Boulevard. I remember that, and a couple of those names sounded familiar. And then long after I was ever out there, I seem to recall having been a very big Opie and Anthony fan. I think, didn't one of them owned the bar out there, didn't they?
Oh, God, yes. And it was, hold on, it was Opie, I believe, and he could be seen in there quite often, and that's also on New York Avenue. And the damn name is slipping my mind. It might have been Nag's Head. It might have been the Nag's Head. I don't believe it's there anymore. I think it's a Spanish restaurant now.
Oh, well, they broke up a while back. I was a very loyal fan. I liked them. I know a lot of people did not care for their humor. It was black humor, and they crossed a lot of lines. It's very dark humor, but look, you have to laugh. I used to like listening to them, and I think it was his brother who was actually running it. There was something. Wasn't it an Irish name, something O'Reilly's or something?
Yeah, it could have been. I don't know why I'm thinking Nag's Head. I might be getting it confused with I can picture where it was. It's around the corner from where my office is now. Oh, and I love them. That's all I listened to, especially when I was commuting. That's all. I listened to them religiously. I was very upset when they broke up, or got broken up, basically. They were great, man. I'll never. I remember this one one bit by Anthony. He always used to say, everyone's anti-gun until you're tied up with telephone cord and you're watching them do very bad things to your wife. The only thing you're thinking at that minute is, damn it, I wish I had a gun, no matter how anti-gun you are. I loved him. He was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I think for a while I was watching his podcast, and I just wasn't, like at the computer the same day every time, and I let it go. And I read somewhere recently, I think he was getting out of Dodge and moving down to Florida, which who could blame him? I don't know if he ever got his pistol permit back from New York City. After that incident with his girlfriend, they pulled his permit. So I don't know if he ever got it back or what, but he was a big Second Amendment guy like me. And he was very funny and very talented, and I think a lot of the rift between them in truth was the fact that in truth he was more talented than Opie, and I didn't really dislike him or anything, but the voices he used to do, Popeye and Tom Brokaw and the guy from Lost in Space, oh dear. And the sketches they used to come up with. Oh, and that Jaws thing about the Jaws. Sometimes he go away, sometimes he doesn't go away. We have something big in common there. A lot of people wouldn't get that stuff.
Oh yeah, you're bringing back memories. I don't know either about the pistol permit. My money would be on he never got it back. I'm a big Second Amendment guy too, and I keep sending my money to the NRA, but I don't think they do much anymore. Yeah, my gut tells me when they get to take it from somebody as outspoken on it as he was, they don't give it back. See what you did? You don't get it back now. Yeah, so hopefully he went to Florida, which is the land of the free now, which is hilarious that it's Florida, but it's pure freedom down there.
Yes, and I did hear someone else who gets you in a second. It was F.H. Riley's. I just looked it up online. I'm not gonna take credit for having a good memory. I googled it, Opie Bar, Long Island, and it came up. F.H. Riley's, and yeah, no, I would think he probably did never get it back, especially with that kind of circumstance involved, with a woman and all. That's almost like, she didn't. I don't think she ever got an order of protection, but it's a similar circumstance, and I'm sure he probably did never get it back. But which kind of sucks if you're used to carrying and then you don't have it. And I remember that routine with the telephone cord. Yep. Everybody's anti-gun until they're getting tied up and duct taped with the telephone cord while they're murdering your wife. It's true. They did a lot of funny bits. Anyway, I definitely saw someone else keying up. Was there someone else looking to pry their way into this?
W2SDR. It wasn't me, but I'll try. That's right, Guy. So is my wife, but we're both very, very liberal. So it's both sides of the fence, and our policy here in the state of Maine, gun laws are fairly liberal. And if somebody were to force their way in here, they're going to be met with my shotgun. Shoot first, questions, ask questions later.
Well, I heard you, Frank. Get it right over to you. I'm not going to start a big controversial conversation. I'll just say that there's one political party that wants to disarm the population, and leave it at that. And you could figure out which one it is. You may not believe it, but it's the truth. That is their ultimate goal, is to take away everybody's guns. So, how are you, Frank?
I'm fine. I think we'll wind up butting heads for eternity, George.
Yeah, but it's true, Tim. It's true. The Democrats, the liberals and the Democrats, they don't want anyone to own guns. They don't. They keep chipping away, common sense gun laws and all this bullshit. But they don't want anyone to own guns. The end game with them, you get two more Ketanji Brown Jackson's on the Supreme Court, and that's the end of your Second Amendment, and there goes the Australian gun confiscation, and good luck when someone's kicking your door in.
100%, that's what's next.
I don't care, you
gotta tell them. You gotta tell them.
That's the thing about the right wing is fear, afraid of change. Well, I'm not going to embrace, taking away the guns. There has to be a form of equilibrium. Taking the guns out of the hands of the insane. I'm all for. I feel, you say, if I were a politician in a role that was political, like say if I became the governor here, I'd institute a change where all students, when they get into school, they're taught handgun safety, what to do, what not to do, so that you don't have all this stupidity. And then everybody that wants to have a firearm, unfortunately, should, their sanity level be validated. A large part of the problem is that mental health in this country has gone right down the toilet. And then you have these wackos that wind up taking up a firearm and offing a bunch of people in the process. It happened here in Maine.
Well, I don't mean to monopolize it, but, the federal government, the Biden administration, recently was going to cut off federal education funds to any school that had any kind of a rifle or shooting class and archery. And look it up. It's in the last 3 weeks, until enough people pitched a bitch and they backed away from it. The Department of Education was basically telling the schools, you get rid of those programs with the guns and the archery, or we're going to cut off federal funding that we give you. It wouldn't be every dollar that the schools operate on, but they were trying to squeeze, they don't want kids learning anything that weapons are a good thing. So that's in the last month, and Doug probably read about it too. And the only thing that these liberals keep doing, Tim, is taking guns out of the hands of good people. I have a carry permit. I have it for my work. And when the Supreme Court lifted the restriction or changed the rules that no state can be may issue, they must be shall issue, Governor Hochul, douchebag, and the very left-wing New York State Assembly and State Senate here came up with this law. Basically, I can't carry it anywhere. I could carry it in the street and in my car and in my house. I can't go into a store unless it has a sign that says they allow, not a sign preventing. They have to have a sign up saying they allow people with concealed carry to come in. Can't get on a train, can't get on a bus, can't go into a public park, can't go into any establishment that serves alcohol, can't go in a house of worship. The schools and the municipal buildings, I get it. I understand that. But that's the law they enacted here that they're copying in Massachusetts and they're copying in New Jersey until the appeal gets to the Supreme Court. So, I wish you would believe me. And they want your wood stove too, Tim. They want your wood-lean stove. I don't know. It just seems the contradictions between your lifestyle and the people you support just don't add up.
So, hold on. Let me see if I have it.
My thoughts and feelings add up. They do. I don't know where you get your information from.
From the real news, not the Today Show.
Unbalanced and skewed way to the right. There's a certain grain of truth here and there, but it's a lot of what I hear or see on Fox News is bullshit. Bullshit. So there you go. But in this state, you can, there are, you can go concealed carry. I've never seen the need for it. I don't feel like having a firearm hanging on my on a belt or concealed inside my jacket. It's just something else that I'd have to deal with. But I don't have a problem. The reason why these rules are being enacted is because of all the fools that have gotten a hold of guns and committed atrocities. So it's like, how can they stop it? The only way you stop it is to invoke all these regulations. I don't agree with them either, but they are what they are, and until people smarten up, it's only going to get worse.
You know, let me hold on. I got to see if I have it. Yeah, I do. So I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Tim. I really do. The problem is those 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights, none of them are there for the safety of the people. They're there for the safety against the government, right? And with that responsibility of having those rights comes danger. There's danger in what people can say with the First Amendment, but they have a right to say it. So my concern is, in a perfect world, should somebody who has a very bad mental illness that endangers them and other people own a gun? Probably not. But the problem is when it impedes on everybody else's time frame to get one, that's where it's impeding on your right to own. So if you think of a woman who has a deranged ex-husband, okay, and this deranged ex-husband has a record of mental illness, and he cannot go buy a gun legally. He will not pass a background check. He will not pass the permit application. But his wife is a school teacher, and she has no mental illness. And she fears for her life, so she goes in New York State and she applies for a pistol permit. And she has to give 2 references who also have to go, well, at least at Suffolk County, they have to go down. The references have to get interviewed. And this is a 9 to 14, 15-month process. So she goes down to the sheriff's office. She files her application for a handgun. 2-3 months go by, she gets a phone call, hey, we're going to schedule your references interview. During this time, her deranged ex-husband goes down an alleyway in Manhattan and buys a Beretta 9mm off a criminal out of the back of a van in about 5 minutes. And then he gets in a car and he drives from Manhattan to Suffolk County and puts a bullet in her head. So that's why we have to accept the risk that people owning guns just might result and will result in tragic deaths, just like people owning cars result in tragic deaths. But it's more dangerous to prevent the masses from having access. That's my opinion, and that's why the regulations I have to always be against. KB2 UKA.
How would her having a gun would change that?
I totally agree with what you're saying. There has to be a quick pathway to that woman, the teacher, to get a gun right away if she's in fear for her life and expresses that. That's part of the reasons why I never settled in New York State. I had the opportunity when I worked in the Syracuse area. I was there for 9 years. And from what I was seeing of just the extremes in New York State, it's like, beautiful state, I don't want to live there.
Well, the other thing you have to consider now is that the people that you don't want generally to have the guns, the criminals, they get a slap on the PP and released with no bail. But God forbid, I shoot someone and I have a permit, holy Christ, they would crucify me. So, everything is backwards. Everything is backwards, Tim. And they don't want you to have a car either. That's the end game with that. You don't believe that. It's not, it was Republican histrionics and exaggeration that they want to come for your gas stove. Well, they do. Now they've said it. and they want to come for your car too. They don't want individual car ownership, and they hate you because you're a white man. So, I mean, just 4 things. You're a white man. They hate you. They don't want you to own a car. They don't want you to have a gun, and they want to take away your wood stove. It doesn't add up supporting them.
Fluoride, Mandrake.
George, I don't know where you get that, but that's
Oh my God.
the usual fear and loathing of the right wing. Nobody's going to take away my gas stove. Nobody's going to take away...
Didn't he enact wartime policies to do it?
There's, since it's been proven that gas stoves in various chemicals or whatnot when in operation, and it's like, oh my God. Well, it's the old grandfather clause where those that have them get them. Those, for new construction, the induction method looks like a very interesting method of cooking, but I want the option to have something with some gas burners. So that's the story. But as far as the oven is concerned, that's a difficult one. But as far as the Woodline stove goes, a lot of people here in the state of Maine use the big W. I don't, because the dust from dealing with cleaning the stove out really bothers my wife, and any smoke. So if I had things with a better draft and a proper means of ash removal, there's nothing like Woodline heat. Nothing like it. The thing is, you got to clear a lot of stuff out around it because of the heat and the danger of fire. So I got a stove. It's installed. It hasn't been fired up in a number of years, and with all the changes that are going on, things being pulled out of here and room being made, who knows? Maybe next year I might be using the big W. There's merit to a lot of things. But the problem is with New York State and some of the lawmakers is that to every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and everybody overacts one way or the other, so therefore it becomes a flustercluck. Or shall I say, in the last 8 years or so, I've become greatly disillusioned by my fellow man in this country and now worldwide with what's going on. Greatly disillusioned.
Fluoride, Mandrake. Fluoride.
Who's talking about the fluoride? Why don't you ID?
Fluoride.
Someone who has no pulse.
Well, I think we're having good conversation anyway, and it's good to disagree, and that's how solutions are made. But George does have it right, Tim. I'm sorry. They enacted, the Biden administration enacted, and I can't speak to it fully because it was only a blip that I read today. They enacted wartime policies in order to combat climate change. So, and I think it has to do something with taking the stoves. I swear to you, man. It's mentioned something about the stoves. They're going to use wartime policies to remove stoves.
And gas lawnmowers.
We have a world crisis. It is climate change, whether or not you wish to admit it or not. And a lot of people don't. But drastic conditions require drastic measures. I don't like it, but you got to do what you got to do. And if it means paring things down, you pare things down.
Fluoride, Mandrake.
You pare them down when you have an alternative. You don't just shut everything off. Where is all this electricity going to come from? They want to ban gasoline lawnmowers too, and gasoline chainsaws. Everything's going to run on electricity. So where is all this electricity going to come from? Tell me.
China. It's going to all come from China, from their gas.
Fields going in, wind generation. There's got to be more hydropower available. There should be, and of course, the little n, the small n, nuclear power. The smaller nuclear reactors are much, much safer than the large-scale reactors that would have your classic Chernobyl effect or what have you. Nuclear technology has come a long way, and that'll be the saving grace.
Fluoride, Mandrake.
That's fine, but get them built and get them online before you make all these conversions. Get them built and get them online. Get the alternatives lined up. Don't do it now, and I'm sorry, 95% of climate change is bullshit. The statistics have been manipulated to give them the power to control people. So, listen, you watch MSNBC, which is an alternate reality, and to you, Fox News is an alternate reality, but to me, it's reality. So we're never going to agree.
No, I don't watch MSNBC. That's on satellite or cable, and I don't have satellite and I don't have cable, nor will I ever.
Reality.
Well, I don't know. You think a lot of what I'm saying that's actually fact, you don't believe. So it'll be like my father used to say when I was a kid. You mark my word, one day you'll say I'm right, and it'll be a sad day because the things that I'm talking about, I don't want them to be correct. But if these people stay in charge, God help us.
Well, hold. They, you know about the social score in China, right? It's a beautiful system for a socialistic government. So you get a social score, and they have such good facial recognition on every city block that if you get caught jaywalking, it immediately convicts you. And they debit your account the fine automatically. You're not mailing the fine in. They're just taking the fine from you. And then it drops your social credit score. And if that social credit score continues to drop, now when you go to the supermarket, you can only buy necessities like toilet paper, a gallon of milk, a protein, and maybe a whole grain. You can't buy the candy bar because your social score is too low. Or if your social score is too low, your electric car that's hooked up to a huge GPS network, it'll only allow you to drive from your house to your socialist job. You can't go to the strip club because you have too low of a social score, so you're not allowed to do that until your social score comes back up. They would whether, and this is not just Democrats, Tim, so I don't want that misconstrued from me. The Republicans are just, there's a third party called the Scumbag Party, and they're all part of it except for a few outliers that are not part of it because they all disagree. They all disagree on taxes. They disagree on the debt limit. They disagree on guns. You know what they all agree on? They all agree when it's time to go to war. It's like clockwork. They fall in line, and now the outliers are the ones saying, no war. And you've got the majority of the Dems and the majority of the Republicans saying, we must go to war. And then 15 years go by, and their $170,000 a year salary, they have a liquid net worth of $30 million. Go figure.
Well, it sounds like you're projecting an alternate reality. I've never heard of a social score, any of that. I could see it happening in China. But people here wouldn't stand for it.
But they're going to stand for the guns being taken.
Heard of anything like that or anything impinging or impacting on my lifestyle?
Tim, hold on.
Yeah, hold on.
Why do you think they want a digital currency here? I think what Doug is talking about is China, yeah. But It's parallels. It's the same line you're talking about. And why do you think they want a digital currency? So that if you do something they don't like, they can shut your money off. They could just turn you off. They did it up in Canada already. They're trying to do it more up there, and they're trying to do away with conventional bank accounts and banking here, so that everything's digital. And if they don't like you, they can shut you off. They're doing it already. Corporations are doing it already. They're going to these gun manufacturers and gun dealers. Well, we don't like you. We're not going to bank with you. Chase is notorious for that. Bank of America. If you have a gun store? No. Well, I know you've been with us 50 years. We're closing all your accounts. We're not going to let you bank with us. And once every bank decides to do that, then how does the guy bank? That's the whole idea. They want to suffocate anything to do with firearms. And if you don't believe it, if you do a little research, you'll see that it's true. And Doug will tell you too. They've already been doing that with firearms-related businesses, basically shutting off their money.
Well, it's the same thing with those that legally are growing and selling marijuana. It's the same thing. Only it's the government that's shutting them off as far as banking and whatnot. So, well, there will be the those banks that do not buy into that, if that be the case. And I would like to think that people in this country would not stand for anything being like China.
But they already are.
For instance, the electronic social media has gotten out of hand and out of control, and a number of people are pissing and moaning about it. Me, I don't bother with sit on my Facebook or Instagram or especially TikTok. I mean, that's why we got into ham radio. It's the first electronic social media. There seems to be a need for humans to connect. But, ham radio, of course, you have to learn something and be interested in the concept, rather than just buy some very sophisticated, expensive, portable electronic device that puts you in touch with all kinds of people and all kinds of stuff that's going on that's out of control. WayOneHLR.
Yeah. I just went to sit on my Facebook.com. That was a much better Facebook than I'm normally on.
Something else, Tim, you have to realize that a lot of this stuff is coming out of Brussels and the European Union. What do you think all this e-bug stuff? Where do you think all this snuff out the farms? Look what was going on in the Netherlands. There was a revolt in the Netherlands because these crazy bastards wanted to put all the farms out of business because of the cow farts. It's insanity. It's insanity.
Yeah, it's insanity.
It really is. Well, George, Tim, I could do this all night, but unfortunately I have to leave right now. So Tim, I hope you're right. I hope you're right that the majority of Americans, red-blooded Americans, wouldn't allow things like that to happen. My fear is every day we're giving more and more up, and once you give something up, you never get it back. And, eventually they might not like what we're saying on this radio, and they come to us and say, nah, you got to give us the radios. They don't stop. It's like the word progressive. There's no end to being progressive. It means it's always moving forward, except forward to what? That's the question. But you guys are great conversation. I'll say 73 to you, George, 73 to you, Tim, and the Peanut Gallery, 73 to you as well. KB2, UKA, I'll listen out.
We're coming. We're going to come, boy.
All right, Doug, very good. Good to make your acquaintance. Hopefully we'll speak with you again. Have a good evening. Have a happy Thanksgiving. 7-3 and 2LJO.
Radio boy. Radio boy.
Way on fire up the 811. Well, in another 10 years from now, assuming that I'm still alive,